Okay guys, I've gone through and as you guys can see in some of the time-lapse stuff, I went through and I pulled out wires. I've gone through and I labeled, well this you didn't see because I was just doing this without thinking about it. Forgot I wasn't recording. But I went through and I pulled, you know, my brake switch, my battery positive, my ignition key one. Pulled them out, got them separate, labeled them. I'm getting ready to add the one for low speed cooling fan relay control. So that's going to go into pin number 42. And what I did there is I took one of the old wires that aren't used, that's already got an end crimped on it, so that way I can use that. And I'm going to go into 42 and shove it in there. And I'm also going to label it. So hopefully I can get that shoved into 42. Might take a little bit because you got to pop the little barrier thing, plastic thing that's in there. There we go, 42. And I'm going to label my low speed cooling fan. So that way I have it labeled. What I did do is I pulled out a bunch of wires I didn't need. Excuse me. Because I'm using a TH350. Excuse me. TH350 instead of the regular 4L80E. So I pulled out a bunch of trans wires that I don't think I need. So that's about it. I got to go through and I got to do the ODB2 and the, you know, hot. So this is I got this from LT1 swap, I think it was. So you can see I added that wire. I'm going to go through and pull this wire for that, pull that wire, and pull that wire and get them separate. All your hot wires go back to the fuse block pretty much. So it's not too big of a deal. You just trace them back there, and when you get back to it, you cut it where it goes at the fuse block. And you pull it through, and that way you can label it and get all your key wires. You know, keyed wires and wires you got to fuse. Put off to the side so that way you have them. And make sure you label them so that way when you go to do everything you have an idea of what it is. So that way it makes it easier to put it all back together for the car. What I'm doing is I'm writing the, you know, the pin number and which connector came out of. Like this came out of the blue one, so I wrote blue 57 because it's pin 57 and it's blue. And that's what I'm writing on one side, and you know, I'm gonna write what it is on the other side. So that way I have it labeled. I can set that down. And now 58 is my ODB2. That's a green wire, which is right. So then you follow this back to where it goes here. And this is going back to this and here. So I think this one. What they say you can do is you can just cut these off. I guess you don't really need all this connector. So you could cut the connector off if you wanted to. I just haven't got around to it. So, but you definitely need the ODB2 wire. ODB2 wire is important. That way you can plug in with your code reader, see what's going on, and you can do stuff if you need to. And it makes life easier in the long run, too, to have the ODB2. So I'm also going through as I'm doing this, checking to make sure I removed them. Removed pins that I needed to remove. 65 is removed. 68 is removed. 70 is removed. 70. One was never there. And then 75 is this one, which is another key switch. So we want to make sure we set that off to the side so that way we can do it. I'll try going back to the fuse block, which that should be, which is this one right here, which is this one, which is this one. I think. And yep. So then we can pull that back. A lot of the pink wires are important wires for different things. So if you remove one, it's probably needed. I was going through de-pinning stuff and I accidentally removed one and said, no, that's not good. It goes back to this. I know I need this for something. So I went back through and figured out I removed one of the wires I marked to keep. So it happens. So that's about the gist of it. You got to go through and remove them and try to keep your wires in a loom like they're supposed to be. You can definitely get them all discombobulated, I guess is the best way to say it, like I've kind of done. Just flopping them around and doing this and that and the other thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape and tape them up. Just some masking tape for now. So that way I can kind of keep the shape and form of this. So that way it'll make my life easier when I go to actually tie it up and put it back. So 'cause that's one thing you're going to have to do. So, oops. And that way you can try to get everything how you want it to run and come through. Let's see, like I got that one wire taped up. I don't want to have that in there. Just want to do that and retape it once I get the wire out. I want to try to keep all my wires on a key and everything else, fuse block wires, keep them all together. So that way I got it all set up. And I could just run them all together. Try not to get them all tied back up into stuff. So it takes time and just patience is the best way to say it. So you just gotta take your time and do the stuff and just slowly go through it. I mean, it's about the best thing I can say. So, and if you do unpin a wire you need, it's not a big deal. As long as you didn't really cut it, you could just put it right back in. And, you know, it's not a terrible thing. It happens. So I got a feeling I'm going to find some more wires as I'm doing stuff to go back to the transmission that I probably don't need. I need to really talk to somebody and read some more on it to see how to set it up for a TH350 to see if I need to have certain wires hooked up to it. I don't think I do because I don't see a need for it. I don't think the transmission's not computer controlled, so it doesn't need to know which gear it's in or any of that stuff. But I want to make sure that I don't need to have certain wires hooked up for cruise control to work, because I'm hoping to be able to run the cruise control and have all that work too. So that's one of them things that I'm hoping to make work. So I'll have to see if I need to run a wire somewhere for a park or whatever. I can. I know I need to run some for a brake switch for it to make it work. So now that I got that all done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take these blue boots and just shove that back onto them. So that way they're back on and I don't have to worry about accidentally popping any wires off or any of that stuff. So that way I can kind of keep it all situated. These things usually only go on one way, best I thought. I can't get them back on either way. There we go. That way it kind of locks, it clips in, and it doesn't allow me to unpop anything accidentally. I can put the back cover back on later. So the next thing I'm gonna end up doing is going through and doing the green and doing that. So I'm just gonna flip this over, and I got a whole list of them here to do. So that'll be the next thing I'll do. So, but as you guys can see, like I said before, I'm gonna be doing the throttle by wire. So I have my foot pedal, my TAC controller. I just have all that set up and plugged in just so I have it plugged in. You can see this is a bunch of the wires already I pulled back that go to this plug that isn't needed. And I don't think I need these other 3 wires too. I think they're gonna come out, I think, out of this plug, and they're probably gonna get removed. And then I think the other ones go back to something else and they aren't needed. A lot of these here for this fuse block go back to different injectors and stuff like that. So I can figure that out, and then you gotta ground them and do all that stuff, set all that up. But that's the start of it. So that way you can see. So this is my first time doing this with this, so I'm learning as I'm going along. So, you know, it's not that hard as long as you can follow something like this that gives you a pinout for what everything is. As you guys can see, I've got a lot of wires that I've marked for removal, like fuel pump, relay, control, secondary. I don't have dual tanks, so if it's in there, I'll remove it. I don't know what the hell that's for. I think that's something with ABS or something, so I'm going to remove it. Fuel pump, I don't know if I want to use that to control the fuel pump relay. So what I'm going to do is probably pull that wire off to the side and mark it, so that way I know. That I'm going to make sure I have that marked. I'm not going to remove it, but I'm going to mark it. That I'm going to remove some of these other stuff. Actually, that I might not. That I might set up to go to maybe a brake switch or something. See if I can figure that out. So, because I don't know how this is going to work, because I don't have a selector for park and drive and such. So I got to read a little bit more, because that's going to be something I might need for cruise control maybe. That I don't need. And I'm going to make sure to mark these too, because these are the vehicle speed sensor wires. Okay, and the thing is, with this harness that I'm using, this harness that I got has been cut. So I'm going to try to make sure I can mark that vehicle speed sensors. And I'm actually not going to worry too much about them, because what I'm going to do, okay, is this is a problem I got trying to figure out. Okay, because with the vehicle speed sensor, you need to have 125 signal. Okay, you can buy the ones, I think it's 125. You need that for the cruise control. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run a through cable, which gives you like 8K signal. And then I'm going to buy a converter box, take that 8K up to the 125, I think it is. So that way my cruise control will work, and I could still use a pass-through cable system to keep the original speedo. It's going to cost me like $300, I think. But that way I can keep the original speedo and get the cruise add cruise to this car. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway, hey, thanks for watching. I'll cover the next plug in the next couple days so you guys can see me doing that.